नमो वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिके। Hare Krishna, we continuing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd, chapter 1st, shloka number 26 to 28. पातालम एतस्य हि पादमूलम्
पातालमेतस्य हि पादमूलम्
पठन्ति पार्ष्णे प्रपदे रसातलम्
पठन्ति पार्ष्णि प्रपदे रसातलम्
महातलम् विश्वसृजः अथ गुल्फौ
महातलं विश्वसृजः अथ गुल्फौ
तलातलं वै पुरुषस्य जङ्गे
तलातलं वै पुरुषस्य जङ्घे
द्वे जानुनि सुतलं विश्वमूर्ते
द्वे जानुनि सुतलं विश्वमूर्ते
उरुद्वयं वितलं च अतलं च
उरुद्वयं वितलं च तलं च
महीतलं तज्जघान महीपते
महीतलं तत् जगन्महीपते
नभस्थलं नाभिसरः गृह्णन्ति
नभःतलं नाभिसरः गृह्णन्ति
पुरस्थलं ज्योति अनिकम अस्य
ऊरःस्थलं ज्योति अनिकमस्य
ग्रीवामः वदनं वै जन अस्य
ग्रीवामहः वदनं वै जनस्य
तपोवराटिं विदुः आदिपुंसः
तपोवराटिं विदुः आदिपुंसः
सत्यं तु शीर्षाणि सहस्रशीर्ष्णः
सत्यं तु शीर्षाणि सहस्रशीर्ष्ण
पातालम् एतस्य पादमूलम्
पातालमेतस्य हि पादमूलम्
पठन्ति पार्ष्णि प्रपदे रसातलम्
पठन्ति पार्ष्णि प्रपदे रसातलम्
महातलं विश्वसृजत गुल्पौ
महातलं विश्वसृजथ गुल्फौ
तलातलं वै पुरुषस्य जङ्गे
तलातलं वै पुरुषस्य जङ्घे
द्वे जानुनि सुतलं विश्वमूर्तेः
द्वे जानुनि सुतलं विश्वमूर्ते
पुरुद्वयं वितलं च तलं च
उरुद्वयं वितलं च तलं च
महीतलं तज्जगणं महीपते
महीतलं तत् जघनं महीपते
नाभस्थलं नाभिसरः गृह्णन्ति
नभःस्थलं नाभिसरः गृह्णन्ति
पुरःस्थलं ज्योति अनिकम् अस्य
उरःस्थलं ज्योतिः अनीकमस्य
ग्रीवाः वदनं वै जन अस्य
ग्रीवामः वदनं वै जनस्य
तपःवराटि विदु आदिपुंसः
तपवराटीं विदुआदिपुंस
सत्यं तु शीर्षाणि सहस्रशीर्ष्णः
सत्यं तु शीर्षाणि सहस्रशीर्ष्ण
पातालम् एतस्य पादमूलं पठन्ति पार्ष्णे प्रपदे रसातलम् महातलं विश्वसृजत गुल्पौ तलातलं वै पुरुषस्य जङ्गे द्वे जानुनि सुतलं विश्वमूर्तेः उरुद्वयं वितलं च पातालं च महीतलं तज्जगणं महीपतेः नभस्थलं नाभिसरः गृह्णन्ति पुरुस्थलं ज्योति अनिकम् अस्य ग्रीवामः वदनं वै जन अस्य तपोवराटिं विदु आदिपुंसः सत्यं तु शीर्षाणि सहस्रशीर्ष्णः
पातालमेतस्य हि पादमूलं पठन्ति पार्ष्णि प्रपदे रसातलं महातलं विश्वसृजथ गुल्फौ तलातलं वै पुरुषस्य जङ्घे द्विजानुनि सुतलं विश्वमूर्ते उरुद्वयं वितलं च तलं च महीतलं तत् जघ्न महीपते नभःतलं नाभिसरः गृह्णन्ति उरःस्थलं ज्योतिः अनकमस्य ग्रीवामः वदनं वै जनस्य तपोवराटि विदुआदिपुंस सत्यं तु शीर्षाणि ग्रसहस्रशीर्ष्ण
Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Persons who have realized it have studied that The planets known as Pātāla constitute the bottom of the feet of the universal Lord, and the heels and the toes are the Rasātala planets. The ankles are the Mahātala planets, and his shanks constitute the Talātala planets. The knees of the universal form are the planetary system of the name Sutala, and the two thighs are the Vitala and Atala planetary system. The hips are Mahītala, and outer space is the depression of his navel. The chest of the original personality of the gigantic form is the luminary planetary system. His neck is the Mahar planet, his mouth is the Janas planets, and his forehead is the Tapas planetary system. The topmost planetary system, known as Satyaloka, is the head of he who has 1,000 heads. Purport: outside the bodily existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the manifested cosmic existence has no reality. Everything and everything of the manifested was rest on him, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.4. But that does not imply that everything and anything in the vision of a materialist is the Supreme Personality. The conception of the universal form of the Lord gives a chance to the materialist to think of the Supreme Lord. But the materialist must know for certain that his visualization of the world in a spirit of lording over it is not God realization. The materialistic view of exploitation of the material resources is occasioned by the illusion of the external energy of the Lord. And as such, if anyone wants to realize the supreme truth by conceiving of universal form of Lord, he must cultivate the service attitude. Unless service attitude is revived, conception of Virat realization will have very little effect on the seer. The transcendental Lord, in any conception of his form, is never a part of material creation. He keeps his identity as Supreme Spirit in all circumstances and is never affected by the three material qualities, or for everything material is contaminated. The Lord always exists by his internal energy. The universal is divided into 14 planetary systems. 7 planetary systems called Bhur, Bhuvar, Swar, Mahar, Janas, Tapas, and Satya are upward planetary systems, one above the other. There are also 7 planetary systems downward, known as Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talātala, Mahātala, Rasātala, and Pātāla. Gradually, one below the other. In this verse, the description begins from the bottom because it is in the line of devotion that the Lord's bodily description should begin from his feet. Shukdev Goswami is a recognized devotee of the Lord, and he is exactly correct in the description. The effulgent luminary planets like the sun and the moon are situated almost in the mid place of the universe, and as such they are to be known as the chest of the original gigantic form of the Lord. And above the luminary planets, called also the heavenly places of the universal directorate demigods, are the Mahar, Janas, and Tapas planetary system. And above all, the Satyaloka planetary system, where the chief directors of the modes of material nature reside, namely Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiv. This Vishnu is known as the Kshirodakshai Vishnu, and he acts as the super soul in every living being. There are innumerable universes floating on the causal ocean, and in each of them, the representation of the Virat form of the Lord is there, along with innumerable suns, moons, heavenly demigods, Brahmas, Vishnus, and Shivas, all of them situated in one part of the inconceivable potency of Lord Krishna, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 10.42. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurmlitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manabhishtam Sthapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guroho Sri Yutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजन सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमो ओम विष्णु पादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhecha Krupa Sindhube Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We try to understand shloka number 26 to 28. In these shlokas, they describe about the every limbs comparing to the uh, bodily every feature. How which is Pātāla. Here, Pātāloka compares to the bottom of the feet of the universal Lord, and toes and heels, Rasātala planets. Ankles are Mahātala, shanks, Talātala. Then again, they ahead describe about the knees, Sutala, and two thighs are the Vitala and Atala. Hips are Mahātala. Like that, they're describing about 40 planetary systems of our these brahmandas. How are they describing is very most important. Prabhuji will tell us in details nicely. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhecha kripa sindhu bevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. So, Sukdev Goswami ji is actually now guiding, hand-holding, I will say, to Parikshit Maharaj on how he has to meditate on the form of Krishna. And as he said in the previous shloka, Virat Roop is being described, and Virat Roop is like a stepping stone towards the higher objective. It's not the ultimate objective. So people generally are recommended that, okay, at least try to visualize Virat Roop. So even in Virat Roop, the form of the body of Krishna, the whole thing is being compared to the existence of Brahmanda as well. So that it becomes easier to understand how big the Brahmanda is. And that is why Shukdev Goswami says that if you have studied the planetary systems, we know that there are 14 planetary systems. Pātāla is at the downmost. And if it is downmost, then it is like the feet of the universal Lord. And after feet, what do we get? We get the heels and then we get the toes. Right? So heels and toes, because they are after the feet, they become the Rasātala. And then we get the ankle. That becomes Mahātala. And then we have the shanks. So that becomes Talātala. Just see how slowly he is going from feet towards the face. So Prabhupada explains the reasoning behind it. Prabhupada says it is always very important that we first learn to concentrate on the lotus feet of Krishna. We are not suitable enough to directly see face to face, see the eyes of Krishna. In fact, Sanatan Goswami ji, he says in one of his bhajans that if you want to continue to remain in the material life, please do not go on the Keshi Ghat. Because there Govinda is present, and if you see Govind, you will not like to have anything to do with material world. That's the greatness of Krishna. So that is why this description is starting from the feet, that it is Pātāla. And after shanks, what do we get? The knees. So knees are like Sutala. And then the thighs, they are Vital and Atal. And then we have the hips, which are the Mahītala. And then above Mahītala, we have the space. So that space, which is covering all these lower planetary systems, is the navel of Krishna. And then from navel onwards, you have the seven upper planetary systems. And now here we know what is in the middle. Just starting in the upper planetary system is the Bhu. And then if you are coming to the chest, this space, this navel is just like the Bhuloka. And then you come across the uh, gigantic form, the chest. All the luminary planetary systems are there. Neck is the Mahar planets. Mouth is the Jana planets. Forehead has the Tapas planets. And Satyaloka is the head. He has so many heads, thousands of heads. So when we are coming to that, please understand that this is about one Brahmanda. And there are innumerous Brahmandas which you have seen and understood in the first canto itself. And even in the first chapter about the creation. In fact, Krishna started explaining all of this to Arjuna in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita itself. He came to the Virat Roop later on in the 11th chapter. But in 9th chapter itself, he said, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagata vyaktamurtina vatasthani sarvabhutani nachu achaham teshu avasthita. By me in my manifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So this Virat Roop is so expansive, so expansive. And this whole description that we are seeing here, it's because of devotional perspective. All the devotees, they ideally should be glorifying Krishna from the lotus feet. One question comes, 7 upper, yes. 7 lower, yes. But where are we? So we are that Bhuloka, which becomes the lowest part of the 7 upper planetary system. So above us we have 6, and below us we have 7. Now this structure of the universal form, it is actually helping the materialist to start relating to Krishna. But they still don't have the service attitude. And so it is just superficial. To actually understand the universal form of Krishna, one needs to be devoted. If anyone wants to realize the supreme truth by conceiving of universal form, he must cultivate the service attitude. Such a profound statement. Because without bhakti, without devotional service, there can only be seeing it as objects of exploitation. For example, if there is say an object, let's take an example of a child. So a father and a thief both see the child, but one looks at it as an object of lust. Yes, I can kidnap and I can get money. And the other as an object of affection and protection. So perception depends on consciousness. And that is why just understanding universal form through reading this is not possible. We need to develop the service attitude. The whole purpose of universal form is simply to dissuade impersonalism, false incarnations. In fact, as we saw in the previous lecture, it's a litmus test for those who proclaim themselves as God. Please show your universal form. And then, what? Hey, and out. But this universal form is not Krishna in total. It's just a material representation to aid these neophytes like us. What Krishna is, we have understood in the first sloka of the first canto of the first chapter itself. Janmadhyasya yataha anvayat itarahata cha artheshu abhidnya swarat. Abhidnya, fully cognizant, swarat, fully independent. These two are important qualities of Krishna which distinguish it from all living beings. Even Brahma, even what I'll say, even scientists like Einstein, they meditate and depend upon the Lord. So we have to be very careful, especially of how these false gurus, blue jackals, who pretend to be God, exploiting ignorance of people. Blue Jackal painted himself and fooled the forest animals until the truth was revealed. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam are the essential tools to expose such deceptionary people. Bhagavatam is especially important. See, we saw in the first canto itself how Vedvyasaji was dissatisfied even after writing so much of literature, Vedas, Vedanta Sutras, Mahabharats. And then, upon instruction of Narad Muni, he compiled Bhagavatam, which is a natural commentary on Vedanta. Maharaj Ambrish, he was advised to read Bhagavatam daily for liberation from material bondage. So this Shastra gradually lifts the sincere reader beyond karma, jnana, and even Vedic ritualism. It takes us to pure bhakti. It makes us understand that Krishna is not impersonal. The original energy, the Adi Ras, it exists in the spiritual world in its pure form. What we see in the material world is just a perverted reflection of the original spiritual reality. So the absolute truth is never impersonal. Krishna is a person. He has relationships, he has emotions, he has variegated pastimes. So we need to work upon true God realization. So what do we do? To understand Krishna, if we are the seeker, we must begin from Virat realization if we are materialistic. And then move upwards through service. But better is read and hear Bhagavatam under proper guidance. Avoid being misled by false prophets. Recognize Krishna as Abhidnya, Swarat, Asamordhva. Asamordhva was unequaled and unsurpassed. And embrace pure devotional service as taught by the Mahajanas. Only the Mahatmas can understand that Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes. But such souls are very rare. Virat Rupa helps the neophyte, but to truly know Krishna, we must take shelter of Bhagavatam and the devotees. That is the only path to transcend material illusion and reach the spiritual reality where Krishna eternally resides. Because each universe in the Virat Rupa, actually, if we see, it is just a representation of what is there. The innumerable universes, they're all floating on the causal ocean. The moons, the suns, the heavenly demigods. Even as mentioned by Prabhupada in purport, Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, all of them are situated in one part of the inconceivable potential of Krishna. And this is mentioned by him in Bhagavad Gita 10.42 as well. Athva bahuna etena kim jnatena tavarjuna vishtabhyam idam krutasnam ekanchena stitah jagat. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all the detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. So we need to look at that original source. Unlike what we currently do, we try to appease the demigods, but then not all get appeased. But if you worship the Lord, it appeases the demigods. So the Virat Roop, it includes all the dominating demigods as well as the dominating living beings. Minutest part of living being is controlled by the empowered agency of Lord. And since demigods are included in gigantic form of Lord, when you worship Lord, whether in gigantic material conception or his transcendental form as Shri Krishna, it definitely appeases the demigods. All the other parts and parcels. And for that, Prabhupada has always been making us understand it to the concept of giving water to the root of a tree, how it distributes energy to all the tree's other parts. And that is something which is very, very important. It is only this thing which can actually take us further. So we need to understand these aspects, that all manifestations are nothing but energies of the Lord. And we just simply accept it. Because these verses, they're actually the allegorical mapping of the Lord's universal form to various planetary systems. And they're emphasizing the cosmos and the divine. So we need not think about it just as a universe, as the body of Lord, but we need to understand that this is there. So Goswami ji has explained this. Shukdev Goswami ji has explained this to encourage, to pursue the cosmos as manifestation of divine energy, to cultivate a service attitude towards all creation. And the moment we are engaged in some service or the other to Krishna, he gets easily pleased. And when we can achieve the ultimate objective of our life, which is Krishna Prem. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.